council chamber with a COVID-19 safety plan in place due to the current advice from the Office of Local Government, which states that council should return face-to-face meetings from 26th of March 2021 onwards. From this meeting until the 31st of December 2021, councillors can attend the meeting via video conference under certain circumstances and once resolved by council. This option will remain available to councillors while the Office of Local Government consults with councillors regarding a permanent amendment to the Model Code of Meeting Practice to allow for councillors to attend via a video conference due to various reasons. Councillors, tonight we have new audio-visual equipment in the council chambers. Council has undertaken an upgrade of the audio-visual equipment in the council chambers, and I ask all councillors and the public to please bear with us as this is our first council meeting to be conducted using the upgraded technology. We trust that the upgrade will enhance the live streaming of the council meeting and improve the audio and the video quality of the live stream. I'd also like to acknowledge Council's Acting Manager of Information Services, Mr. Matt McCoy, and Mr. Jason Siffers, who is from AV Integration, who have carried out the upgrade work. They are both here in the gallery to provide assistance if needed in the meeting tonight. As such, this council meeting is being live streamed via YouTube and recorded and published online via council website. To those present in the meeting today, by participating in this public meeting, you are consenting to your image, voice and comments being recorded and published. The Mayor and or the General Manager have the authority to pause the live stream if comments or debate are considered defamatory or otherwise inappropriate for publishing. Participants are advised that they may be subject to legal action if they engage in unlawful behaviour or commentary. Thank you, councillors. And we did have a quick run through before we started, so we'll see how we go. I'll move to item 1A, requests from councillors to attend via video conference, for which there is none. And I'll move to,
Madam Mayor, the prayer and acknowledgement of country.
It's down a bit further. I have to do this section first, but thank you for being enthusiastic tonight. But you have to do this section first. I'll move to apologies, item 2, for which there is none. I'll now move to item 3, the prayer. Councillor Adams.
Almighty God, we ask you to invoke your blessing upon this council. Direct and prosper our deliberations to the advancement and true welfare of the people of the council area, our state and Australia. Amen.
Thank you, Councillor Adams. Councillor Gallagher, would you like to do the acknowledgement of country?
Yeah, I wish to acknowledge the traditional owners upon the land upon which we meet and pay our respect to those elders, past, present and emerging.
Thank you, Councillor Gallagher. We'll move to item 5, minutes for confirmation. Do I have a mover?
Move that way.
Councillor Adams, seconder. Councillor Clark. Is there any debate? No debate. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Councillor Nolan, Councillor Brown, Councillor Clark, Councillor Cook. It's unanimous vote. Thank you, councillors. Move to item 6, disclosures of interest. Councillors, is there any disclosure of interest? No disclosures of interest tonight. Oh, sorry, councillors. In the confidential, I do have a disclosure of interest, and it is, I'll just find it. I was so organised, sitting back relaxed here. I have a disclosure of interest in item 67/21. This is the expression of interest for the General Manager's performance agreement and review process. I'm on the board of Local Government New South Wales, who's been considered, and I will remove myself from the chair, step outside the council meeting and not participate in the debate, and hand over the chair to the Deputy Mayor. Thank you, councillors. No further. Move to item 1, mayoral minute. I'll move this mayoral minute. Councillors, the mayoral minute is number 4/21, the need for alcohol and other drug detoxification and rehabilitation services. And this is asking for the council to support the formation of a community entity as outlined by the Western New South Wales Primary Health Network and the Broken Hill City Council work in partnership with the Western New South Wales Primary Health Network and other entities to advocate for an alcohol and other drug detoxification and rehab service in Broken Hill. You're seconding that, Councillor Page? No, I moved it. It's a Merrill minute. I've already moved it. Thank you. Thank you. Councillors, I move this motion as you would be aware that the Western New South Wales Primary Health Network is looking at supporting advocacy around drug and alcohol rehab, detox and rehab centre. The work of, I just want to acknowledge Joni Sanderson for her great work. That's been a great advocate around alcohol and other drug misuse in Broken Hill. I think this is a good opportunity. I reflect back on the time that we had the ICE inquiry in Broken Hill, this is the Upper House inquiry. And I remember very directly as I presented Council's submission that in fact one of the members of Parliament asked me if a drug and alcohol centre in Dubbo would be of use to me and to my community in Broken Hill. And I had to remind that person, I said to them, would it be of use to you in Sydney? Because Sydney is closer to Dubbo than Broken Hill is. This is an important process for us to support. I hope that we will have a unanimous vote, but it is stage one of the process. So councillors, we will keep you informed as this progresses. And if you get invites to any of these workshops, I please encourage you to attend. I'll open up the debate. Is there any speakers against?
Just a question, Madam Mayor.
Yes, Councillor Kennedy.
Could our manager of community services, Razir, be kept up to date with that, because we are dealing with that sort of stuff in our own little committee as well. So it'd be good if we were kept.
Corporate services or her staff have been attending those meetings, in fact. So absolutely. Thank you, Councillor Kennedy.
Do we need to do anything with this? Because on the, where is it, but the third, I think it's the third, as a result, the WNSW and BHN in partnership with Far West Local Health District and the Broken Hill City Council has agreed to support. It's already been agreed.
So no, that's the council staff, but we want the councillors to be on board with this and to set the vision about working together. So yes, I think we do need it. And I think, as I said, it'd be good to have a unanimous vote. No further discussion. I'll put the vote. All those in favour? Thank you, councillors. I appreciate that unanimous vote, and certainly we will keep the community and the councillors updated in the progress of this. Move to notice of motion for which have been given. Item 1, motion of which notice has been given, number 15/21, urgent financial assistance for the Silver City Show, page 36. Councillor Page.
I move that way.
Oh, Councillor Gallagher.
Yes, thank you very much. I'll speak on the motion. Councillor Page and I have met with the Silver City Show Committee, and we've informed that the committee this year is about $15,000 short to stage this year's event. This is mainly due to the cancellation during COVID of 2020, which took a significant toll on the committee and left them in a curious financial situation due to the fact that there was no financial assistance, no financial given to this the pastoral show for 2020. The committee is now in a situation where it's desperate, and if we don't get financial assistance, the event will not go ahead without help of some financial assistance. We've been informed that the money will be used to cover utilities, insurance, repairs to the animal nursery, and for prize ribbons and certificates and so forth, which are given by the show committee to the people who come and also to the participants that come there to have their wares and things produced. This also goes for requirements for the volunteers. The volunteers work tirelessly and have done for over 100 years, providing a great service for the Broken Hill community, and to not just for the children, but for everyone that goes to attend this great institution. I believe the council can offer financial support that would not be good for the community and will show good faith to the committee and also the community of Broken Hill, where the committee has worked tirelessly to organise this event for the children and families throughout Broken Hill and the pastoral area. Although this request is, is unusual and it does go outside some of the community assistance grant funding, but I believe the assistance we could give the community to give this show committee could be a benefit to everyone. It should be noted that the committee has gone through a number of changes during the year and changing in management. And I believe this has given a significant reason why the committee didn't lodge the financial assistance during the usual financial assistance grant, which the council has provided over the years. The council has the opportunity to ensure that the show goes ahead and goes ahead for the future. And I believe that the community would commend the council for its leadership if we voted for this financial assistance. This is only a one-off financial assistance for the Silver City Show. It has been an institution, as I said before, for over 100 years, providing a great service, not just for the community of Broken Hill, not just for the children, but for the wider community and the areas surrounding Broken Hill. Tibooburra, Menindee, Ivanhoe, Wentworth come up. It's for the exhibitors that come to the show. It's for something for the children, something for Broken Hill, which we've starved during COVID, which we've come ahead, but we need to give this great institution a fair go to make sure it does survive this year and in years to come. I do know, as I said before, it goes out of the Community Assistance Grant, which I'm the chair of that committee. I'm well aware of exactly what needs to be done, but this just does go outside and we need to make a decision tonight. I do look and I've read it quite regularly. Sorry, I have read the minutes quite thoroughly, and I do know that the General Manager, in his recommendations and advising to the councillors, that under Section 5356 of the Local Government Act 2093, this can be done, and with a 28-day notice proposal to be passed this resolution. I commend this resolution. I ask for the council to give the financial assistance, this urgent financial assistance, this one-off financial assistance to the Silver City Show, the Pastoral Association, so we can ensure that this runs not just this year, but in years to come. I commend this motion.
Thank you, councillor. Any speakers against?
Not against, Madam Mayor, but I have an amendment which the movers may care to accept. And my amendment is that council note the importance of the Silver City Show as an annual event to the Broken Hill community, and that the Silver City Show committee apply through council's event sponsorship policy for assistance in the delivery of the 2021 Silver City Show. Thirdly, that council approve the utilisation of any remaining funds in this budget, that is in the event sponsorship budget for the 2021 financial year, to assist the Silver City Show, subject to the appropriate information being supplied and an application made. Madam Mayor, if I may.
I'll just see if there's a seconder for your amendment. Councillor.
I'll second that.
I think.
No, I'm not satisfied with that. I'm just asking for the one-off grant.
Sorry, I'm going to fail straight off. Councillor Brown, do you want to speak to your
Yes,
amendment?
I speak to that just to maybe reassure the movers that this is a one-off. What I'm proposing is one-off. I mean, the money has to be found somewhere. It's all right to say, well, you know, you just increase the budget, but you really have to. You still have to find that money. There is money in this event sponsorship fund that hasn't been spent over the past year because of, you know, the reasons we all know, and it needs to be spent. So I agree with the movers that the Silver City Show is a very worthy event to support. And we all support the show, and I'm proposing this really as a way to identify the source of some funds and maybe depending on how much is left in that event sponsorship fund, it may even provide some additional money for that event.
Question, Madam Mayor?
Yes,
Do we have any ideas of the financial situation for the event funding? What's left, Mr. GM, or you wouldn't know that at this stage? You can-
Mr. GM.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I believe there's $10,000 remaining in the event sponsorship budget.
So my question, Mr. GM, is that I understand that we need potentially 15,000. Would we be able to look at in kind for the 5,000 with the right application out of that events budget?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. It would require an increase in the event sponsorship budget by the $5,000, but it would alleviate the fact that there is a governance process for the sponsorship application without the 28 days notice through the community assistance grants.
Thank you.
Madam
so
Mayor, just a
Speaker,
question.
Sorry, Speaker against.
Yes, speak against, Madam Mayor. This is another instance of council making community members not know exactly what's going on. The show is important. The show is very important to the community. Volunteers put in tens of thousands of dollars worth of volunteer hours. Council only need to look as far as the Christmas pageant when Rotary ran the Christmas pageant. If council lets these volunteer organisations fall over, what ends up happening is council ends up taking them over at a much greater expense than $15,000. To think that $15,000 is something that council can't come up with is almost laughable when the community time and time again sees this council move amounts as hundreds of thousands of dollars for legal fees that we can come up with like this. And then when we have a community organisation like the show, all of a sudden, where are we going to find 15,000? Can we find it here? Can we find it there? 2.5 million spent on consultants, the libraries and city plans and all this sort of thing. It is so disappointing as a council and so disappointing for the community when they see this happen. Now, many people will be watching this on YouTube and thinking, how can council not possibly support the Broken Hill Silver City show when they put in so much time? It has so much benefit to the community, as a benefit to many young people in the city. It is another event that many in the community admire, like. We are looking at the bash, you know, we're going to have 10,000 people. This is about Broken Hill City Council making sure we support anything that is a benefit to the community, brings money for people to spend in this town. We don't need to defer it to another thing so that the people sitting in the gallery tonight don't know what's going on. We can move it tonight. It can be put on 28 days notice and be approved. It's as simple as that. Without volunteers, Broken Hill won't run. We hear this all the time when council are talking. Our volunteers are getting older. There's not as many young people not filling those positions. We have a show committee that has recently changed hands with volunteers to make sure it goes ahead. And the first thing they run into is council saying, where can we find $10,000? We can find $1 million for legal fees, but $10,000 for the show, we're going to have to look really hard for that because, you know, budgets are hard to deal with.
Thank you, Councillor. Is there speakers? What's your question, Councillor Clark?
Is it on?
Yes.
Oh,
when your red light's on, it means you're.
Yeah,
your
sorry,
microphone's
it
on.
was a little bit delayed then. Yeah, just to answer Councillor Kennedy there, I don't think it's a question. I am asking a question of the General Manager, if I can.
Yeah.
Is that money available? Is this 15,000? Can you get the 15,000 out of this events events account? Can we get $15,000?
Mr General Manager.
Thanks, Madam. Well, essentially, yes, there is $10,000 available in it. Council can vote to increase that budget by $5,000, and the event sponsorship policy and application process is open all year. So it means the councils can vote to increase it to allow it to be the $15,000 to follow through that process.
Is it a follow-up question? Is it easier to do it through the events account than it is to go to the or to stick more money in the community assistance grant account? Is it easier to do that? Is it an easier thing?
The governance around the community assistance grants. Mr General Manager.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Well, it's essentially $15,000. So it's really just a matter of the process. The process through the event sponsorship can happen obviously a bit quicker out of a resolution tonight. If you go through the community assistance grant process, obviously then it goes out in 28 days, public display, and then comes back to council for a final vote.
Okay.
So they are still getting $15,000. It's just which account it comes from. I'm just clarifying that because it sounded as if, you know, there were councillors who didn't want to give money. And I don't think that's the case. I think it's just, where is this money coming from? And is it easier for everybody, for the show committee people, to get it from the events account, or is it easier to get it from the community assistance grants, which really deals in a lot smaller amounts?
Mr GM.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I mean, I'd probably just wouldn't think about it so much where it's coming from in regards to accounts. It's probably just which policy and application process councillors wish to run the process under, whether it goes under the event sponsorship process, which is open all year, or councillors follow section 3, I've forgotten the act, sorry, but section 356 and they do the 28 days public display. But it's still $15,000. It's yeah.
Okay, councillors, you've got a question, Mr Councillor Cool?
Yes, Madam Mayor, just got a question. Clarifying, so it is easier on behalf of the committee to go through the events group? Is it easier with regards to paperwork, with regards to the liaison, with regards to talking to council? And it is a question.
No, so Councillor Page, come, I think we're having debate. The councillors are seeking advice from the General Manager. I know what you're saying, councillor, but they are entitled, like I would allow you in your term, entitled to ask questions.
And I have another question as well.
What's your question, councillor?
If with the Silver City Show Committee coming to the events group, is there other assistance that the events group and the staff can offer and can help the committee with? Rather than going through the community assistance grant, here's your grant, but if they're dealing with the events group, is there opportunity for more assistance to come through for that great group of volunteers?
Mr General Manager.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Well, essentially, no, it's all comes down to a financial contribution. So whether it's in kind or actual cash, it's all calculated at the end of the day to be a cash contribution. So if it's $15,000, both application processes deal with financials. To answer your earlier question, the process is probably fundamentally the same for the Silver City Show Committee. There is an application process requiring similar information through both funds. It's just a matter of the timing. Obviously, one's quicker than the other for the Silver City Show.
Thank you. Sorry, you ask another question?
Can I make a comment, Madam Chair?
What's your comment? Are you asking a question, councillor?
Well, it's partly a question, and it's to do with the issue of finding money, which seems to be quite insurmountable at this stage. What concerns me is that you know, the council is hell-bent on building a $25 million library, and we haven't got any money for that.
What's your
we haven't got any money for that.
Point of order, councillor. You had a question. What is your question?
The question is, where's the money coming for the library? If that's the big issue, if the $25 million can be found, surely 15,000 can be found.
People are talking about process and how to quickly get this approved, not the money. Councillor LaCour, you had one more question.
Madam Mayor, so it is, I still don't understand, it is quicker for the committee to get this grant through the events group.
I think he's answered that, Councillor LaCour.
That's what I just want to, yes or no?
Thanks, ma'am. Yeah, sorry, I thought I was pretty clear. It's a similar process for both for applications. However, it is quicker for the Silver City show to go through the events other than the 28 days.
Thank you,
just a point of order on that, or a clarification. It all goes on. The fact that the show has to put in an application through to get this money. We're saying we want to donate it tonight. There's a big difference. We want it donated. It may take them 28 days to get it, but they're going to get it. So can we at least stick to what's honestly written up there, as opposed to this way of interpreting how something's said? If the show committee, under this motion, if the show committee doesn't put in an application, they get nothing. Simple as that.
Thank you, Councillor Kennedy. Councillor Brown, you had a question, because I need to go back to debate.
Yes, not a question, just a point of fact. Councillor Kennedy said that he wants to avoid asking the show committee to go through the paperwork, but point 3 in the motion, in the recommendation as printed, requires that the show committee present a belated community assistance grant application, outlining how the money will be used, to quote what's there. So they still have to go through the process under the terms of the original motion.
Okay, let's go back to debate. So any speakers for, okay, thank you, Councillor Kennedy. Any speakers for the amendment? No speakers for? Okay, I'll put the amendment. I'll put Councillor Brown's amendment. All those in favour? Councillor Nolan, Councillor Brown, Councillor Clark, Councillor Cool, Councillor Adams, Mayor Turley against, Councillor Kennedy, Councillor Allgate, Councillor Page, Councillor Gallagher. The amendment now becomes a motion. You have a foreshadowed amendment, Councillor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the under section 356 of the Local Government Act, council donate 15,000 to the Silver City show immediately to help with the running of the show.
Do you have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Gallagher. Councillor Kennedy, do you want to speak to the motion?
Yes, I would love to speak to the motion. I can't understand how, whenever there is a notice of motion that's moved in good faith by anyone in this room on this side of the room, we need an amendment that the councillors ended up saying is almost the same, but it may result in a little bit quicker. Well, I just moved an amendment that will make sure that it's really super quick. So if the councillors on that side of the room can get past caucus and all that sort of stuff and make a few decisions tonight for themselves, they can actually move this tonight, pass it, and the two ladies sitting in the public gallery can leave this meeting tonight knowing that they're going to get $15,000. Pretty simple, pretty easy to deal with. The public out there in YouTube land or in Broken Hill will understand exactly what's going on, because all the people see on YouTube and in the community and in the public gallery is a play on words from the Labor councillors to try and take credit for a motion that Councillor Gallagher in combination with Councillor Page. And that's all I see tonight, and that's all the community sees, and that's all the people in the public gallery are going to see tonight. So let's give them the money and let them get on with organising a great show for this year.
Thank you, Councillor. Speakers against? Councillor Clark.
I have a question for Councillor Kennedy through the chair. Everybody wants the show committee to have $15,000. You want to give a donation. Where is the money coming from? It's got to be accounted for by council. So can you name the account that it's coming from? That's all we want to do. The $15,000 is going to the show.
I think, councillor, are you asking a question or you?
Yeah, where is it? Where is it coming from? Where's the money coming from? We have to be very clear about that. I mean, there are budgets, there are books to be kept.
Councillor Kennedy, did you want to respond to that?
For sure. And I would suggest that all councillors read the Local Government Act. We make the decision about spending money. The general manager finds where it comes from. I don't have to name an account. I can name an account, or I can name an amount of money, and the general manager then has to rearrange the budget, give it back to council and say, this is where it came from. Pretty simple stuff. Read the Act. You'll learn a lot.
Thank you, councillor. Is there any debate? Councillor?
Another question. This time I'm going to ask the General Manager. Mr. General Manager, where is the money coming from? We just have to establish that so we can give it to the show committee. I want to give this money to the show committee. So does every councillor in this room, but we need to know, where is it coming from? It's a simple question. I don't need to read the Local Government Act. I think we need to show some sort of knowledge that we have a responsibility here, an economic responsibility, all of us. Mr. General Manager, where's the money coming from?
Mr. General Manager?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I mean, essentially, it's up to councillors to vote for the budget to be increased for the donation. There is no donation fund at the moment, but I mean, from previous discussions, 10,000 can come out of the event sponsorship policy, and then it's a matter of increasing the budget by $5,000 to account for the other 5. So we can work through that.
Thank you. Any speakers against the amendment? No speakers against. I'll put the amendment. All those in favour? Sorry, Councillor Clark, we're putting the amendment. All those in favour, Councillor Kennedy, Councillor Allgate, Councillor Page, Councillor Gallagher. Against, Councillor Nolan, Councillor Brown, Councillor Clark, Councillor Cool, Councillor Adams. Mayor Turley will now move that Councillor Brown's motion now stands. I'll ask Councillor.
Question before it's put, Madam Mayor.
I was going to ask, yes, what's your question, Councillor?
Because I was gracious enough to answer a quick question from Councillor Clark, I'd like to ask a question through the chair of Councillor Clark. Where is 25 million for the library coming from?
Hopefully a grant.
I think we've discussed that in other areas, Councillor Kennedy. We're not discussing that tonight. We're discussing the show, and we're trying to give the show committee, desperately trying to give the show committee $15,000. We seem to be being held up by talking about a library. Now, can we get on and give the show committee $15,000?
Thank you, Councillor Kennedy and Councillor Clark. Councillor Gallagher, right a reply.
Yeah,
Yep, your light's on, it means you can speak.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. As I said, look, all I want to do is give the show $15,000 so they can operate for 2021 and run from then on. All I want to do is give them a one-off donation by the council simply to keep the show alive. I know he's to and fromming about different things tonight at libraries and so forth, but I'm only here to talk about the show. We need to keep it alive. The committee has come to Councillor Page and myself asking for a one-off donation. They are well aware how they go through the Community Grants Assistance Committee. They have done it for years. They've done it before even I've been on council, over 11 years. They understand the process. They have a pandemic in the whole world and affected Broken Hill's pastoral show for 12 months. They're asking for this donation. We need to give these donations. They shouldn't have to go through an application. They shouldn't have to do anything more than coming to see the councillors to ensure they get their money. They're not asking for anything else. They're not asking for, they haven't even asked for continued donations. They've just asked for this $15,000 to get it going this year. I'll say no further because I think there's no need to.
I didn't have my microphone on.
I'll move an addendum to my notice of motion, which is 1 and 2, and at 3, council be provided with a report on what the lease of the bus entails.
Is there a seconder? Councillor
No.
Walgate. 91 is, try it now.
Right.
Thank you.
Yes.
So if someone else has got the microphone on, yours won't come on. So thank you, Councillor Walgate. Councillor Kennedy, do you want to speak to your motion?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's disappointing to read that the bus has been leased out for 20 years. This was a great donation when council did get the Priscilla bus. I believe this is probably going to be another opportunity that may be missed, and hopefully the people that it has been leased to, council can work with to try and get that bus on permanent display so tourists can be photographed with that. And again, we can get a bit of free social media out there with people sharing photos of our great city, and one of the what potentially could end up a great tourist attraction.
Thank you, Councillor.
Question, Madam Mayor.
Yes, Councillor Adams.
I just, through the chair, we do all realise that the Priscilla bus is not a bus, but it is a prop.
It's a stage prop.
It is a prop, stage prop. That
I
needs
think all
to
the
be
councillors are aware it's not a
undercover and protected, and that lease is, that was part of the reason way back when it was agreed on that the people with the lease would be looking after it. It's just I just wanted to be sure that everyone knew it wasn't actually a bus that could go just anywhere where and be looked after.
No, it's a stage prop. Okay, thank you. No debate. Councillor Clark.
Yes, Madam Mayor. Look, I understand the great interest in this as a tourist attraction, and just following on from what Councillor Adams has said there, it certainly is not a bus, and it can't be just parked anywhere. It is a stage prop. It must be kept indoors, out of the elements. I did talk to the owners of the palace about this, and they actually have the stage prop secured in their own premises, which is what the lease is all about. And they have plans. They are working very hard to extend their premises, and that's going to hopefully in the future make the bus or the bus prop more accessible to everyone. I'm sure there are a lot of locals who'd love to see this too. So, Madam Mayor, I'd like to make an amendment here, and the amendment is keep point 1, so that the motion has been received. Strike out point 2 and keep point 3 of Councillor Kennedy's addendum, wasn't it? It was an addendum there, that we be provided with a report which tells us just what the lease agreement is. I think that that we really do not have the right, I suppose, to find a location to put the Priscilla Queen of the Desert bus on permanent display, because that is the province of the palace owners, and they are, I'm quite sure, eager to deal with that as much as what we are.
Thank you, councillor. Is there a seconder?
I'll second.
Second by councillor Adams. Councillor Clark, do you want to speak to the motion, to your amendment?
Look, I think I just made it quite clear, Madam Mayor. I don't think there's any need to go on and on and on speaking about it. We all know we treasure Priscilla. I mean, it's ours, isn't it, Priscilla? And the Palace Hotel do a fabulous job every year of running their festival and of bringing the bus or the stage prop and the slipper out on display at that particular time of the year. It is quite a novelty. It's probably more beneficial to have it as a novelty than it is to have it on display somewhere permanently. But they are looking forward to the time when they can have their premises extended and that it can actually be offered to people. So I think that if we accept that the motion, that we receive the motion, and that a report be provided to councillors about that leasing agreement.
Thank you. Speakers against?
I'll speak against, Madam
Thank you.
Mayor. Interesting that the councillor uses the term "no right." This was Gifford. Well, last time it turned out that I was exactly right in what was said, and you'll find I'm exactly right again. Councillor said we have no right. Councillors must remember this was donated to the city, and what's actually happened is council again is missed out on an opportunity because of short-sightedness. There is never enough foresight in the decisions that are made by this council. It was made in 2014. I don't know who was on council at the time, but it was obviously a decision that was not well thought out. It's similar to the decision to sell the film studio because it was costing us a lot in depreciation. Now we hear Mad Max is coming March next year. We would have made all our money back. This is time and time again, council misses opportunities because they give away the community assets. We still own it. It's been leased for 20 years. It's a council asset that was leased, which we don't know. Well, the current council, maybe the old council knows, but me as not a councillor of that council does not know. But it is a missed opportunity, and it may be considered a novelty if it's not seen very often, but that doesn't do much for tourism if they're not here on the days of the Hill Festival or the other days that it's on show. Council's got to start thinking smarter when we make decisions. When we make decisions, they need to be decisions that the community back. Because if the community doesn't back those decisions, whether real or perceived, what happens is the community loses faith in the council, and then the council, it's very difficult for council to sell ideas that are positive because the community's lost trust in our organisation. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, councillor Kennedy. Any speakers for the amendment? No speakers for. I'll put the amendment. All those in favour? Councillor Nolan, Councillor Brown, Councillor Clark, Councillor Call, Councillor Adams, Mayor Shirley against, Councillor Kennedy, Councillor Allgate, Councillor Page, Councillor Gallagher. We'll now move to the amendment now becomes a motion. Is there any further debate? Otherwise, I'll ask Councillor Kennedy to give a right of reply. No further debate? Oh, Councillor Kennedy.
No, right of reply. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to say, just another example of an amendment to a motion or a notice of motion because someone on this side's moved it. It's disappointing, and I can't say much more than it's not only disappointing for me and probably the other people sitting in this room that's not voting on that side, but it's disappointing for the community as well.
Thank you, Councillor Kennedy. I'll put the motion. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Councillor Nolan, Councillor Brown, Councillor Clark, Councillor Adams, Mayor Shirley. Against? Councillor Kennedy, Councillor Allgate, Councillor Page, Councillor Gallagher. The motion is passed. We'll move to item 3, motion of which notice has been given. Report number 17/21, page 43, rate pegging. Councillor Kennedy.
Yes, so I'll move that it be received. That Broken Hill City Council supports rate pegging, that Broken Hill City Council sends correspondence to the Minister for Local Government, Shelley Hancock, MP Roy Butler and the Greens MP David Shoebridge, that Council supports rate pegging and strongly opposes the suggestion from the Greens MP David Shoebridge to remove rate pegging to allow councils to raise rates by an unlimited amount, or alternatively suggestion to allow councillors to raise rates by 8% without ministerial approval.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor LaCour. Thank you. Councillor Kennedy, do you want to speak to the motion?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I move this motion because rate pegging is an important bit of legislation that stops sloppy councillors from being able to pass the mistakes from the decisions made from those councils onto the community. We, as a council, should be bound by what most businesses are bound by, and that is looking after your customers, and usually CPI to increase rates. If you increase your merchandise, if you increase by any further than that, usually you lose customers. The advantage councillors have is those customers are actually captive. They have no choice but to pay rates, but that doesn't mean that the community won't be unhappy with council if they are able to increase them beyond rate pegging. Perfect example for this council is the signs when there was 200 people in the gallery to listen to give their opinions on signs, and council ignored it. So I have no faith in councils listening to communities when they increase rates, because ultimately people, if they can, will, because it's always the easiest option is not to fix something that is broken, but to take the easy route and increase rates and the cost to the community to cover poor decisions of the council. Thank you.
Thank you. Speakers against?
Your comment, Madam Mayor. I don't really have a problem with this motion, except to say that this legislation has passed, hasn't it? I mean, I don't have a problem us sending the letter, but it has passed.
I think it wasn't accepted, but it has. I think it's passed through legislation. But that's okay. We can always have Councillor Kennedy's motions. Yeah. If there's no speakers against, I'll put the motion. All those. Oh, Councillor Brown.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I was about to say what really repeat what Councillor Adams has said, or the comment that she made. I'm not against this motion, so I won't be voting against it, but just will note it is redundant now. And also note that this council, I think, has a very history to be proud of in the restraint it has always shown in setting its rates. It's a very long time since council has applied for a special rate, even though we probably could have got it on a number of occasions. We're all very aware of the difficulty that many people have paying their rates. It's always a very serious consideration we have every time we set the rate. You know, whether our community can afford the rates. So I think it's something of an overstatement to imply that if council did have the right to set its own rate, that it would immediately pay itself, have a huge increase in wages. I think that was mentioned in the comments that went with the the notice of motion or increase the rates. I'm very comfortable with council's history in this.
What's the point of order, councillor? Your microphone isn't on, councillor.
Not on the record because they're, there's a thing. But yes, the point of order, not that I mind Councillor Brown and I accept Councillor Brown's statements, but the reality is Councillor Brown isn't speaking against the motion. As she stated, she's supportive of it. She was actually against some of the comments I made in my statement, but I allowed the councillor to actually correct those.
Councillor Brown, are you speaking?
Madam Mayor, I was making the point that the motion is really redundant.
Yep, thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay, if there's no speakers against the motion, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? It's a unanimous vote. Thank you, councillors. We'll move to item 9, rescission motions, for which there is none. We'll move to item 10, reports from delegates. Councillors,
Not yet, Madam Mayor.
We'll have one for the next meeting for the Murray-Darling.
Yes, I will as well.
Thank you. Thank you all those that attended.
I'd like to make comment, Madam Mayor.
Yes, councillors.
In regard to the water conference, that's the one you'd like comments from.
Well, yeah, if you have a report from delegates.
I have a verbal report.
Okay, I'll take your verbal.
Okay, I found it very disappointing. The basin plan is a disaster on every point, whether it's financial, people's financial future. They're spending billions of dollars of taxpayers' money. There's no need to spend it in the areas they are. The outcomes they're looking for are unachievable. And the reason why the Darling River has always been an unreliable water supply. So they're saying all these people can invest along the Darling River in regard to irrigation. It's absolute madness, because every 10-year cycle we get a big flow coming down, and the other times the river virtually runs dry. So what they're proposing doesn't make sense. And the group called the Wentworth Group are very recognised as people you should listen to and take notice. They made a presentation and made it very clear from the Wentworth Group that the plan is unachievable, doesn't make sense, and long term it'll be, we're a nation of floods and droughts, and we're not planning for either one. So the Wentworth Group made it clear, the long term and the short term of the plan, it's just not viable. And just to finish up, I think a lot of these issues started back when the politicians made up their mind to put the Anna branch in a pipeline, and since then it's been absolutely downhill in regard to our location out here, and unacceptable. And I'd like to think this council would come on board and make it clear to these politicians just how silly their proposal is. And there's a lot of people from Burke down to Wentworth suffer because of this plan. And I feel sorry for people, whether it's the Aboriginal group, anyone. They love that river, and those politicians let it run dry too often. So I think it's time we stood up to these people and make it clear their plan is an absolute disaster waiting to happen. We could talk all night on this issue, but I think this council has always had a loud voice in regard to the proposal. What they're hoping to do just doesn't make sense, and it's just the outcome will be a disaster.
Thank you. Well said, council. I think it's the Murray-Darling Basin Association conference. So thank you for that, Councillor Page, and we'll look forward to the other reports. We'll move to item 11, reports. Item 1, Broken Hill City Council report number 70/21, annual fees, mayor and councillors, page 48. Do I have a mover for that? Oh, sorry, councillor Brown. Seconder. Councillor Cool. Councillor Brown, do you want to speak to the motion?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Well, there is no actual, the recommendation doesn't actually include acceptance or otherwise of the recommendation from the tribunal, but I am moving that the recommendation that we endorse the recommendation from the tribunal and accept a 2% increase in the mayoral and councillor fees. I know that there will be objections to this, the usual objections to this, and so I'll speak briefly to this when I have a seconder.
You have a seconder, councillor Cool, seconder.
The 2% increase is actually not even in line with inflation, so it's really not an increase. It's just keeping more or less in pace level with the amount of our the previous fees. If we don't accept this, we're going to get closer and closer to the minimum level. We are the third tier of government. Most of us work extremely hard, so I have absolutely no embarrassment about stating that I believe we're entitled to the level of fees that the independent tribunal, after a close examination of the work that's done and the significance of the level that the council itself should be on the list of fees. Broken Hill, as we read, is recognised for its place in the region, even though its population wouldn't otherwise entitle it to being at that particular level. So I'll leave it at that, Madam Mayor, and wait for the opposition.
Thank you. Speakers against?
I'll speak against.
Councillor Kennedy?
Yes, I agree with councillor Brown. I'd say I'd go a little bit further and say that all councillors are hardworking. I have no doubt that all councillors do the best they can, or the best they believe they are doing for the community. The problem with that statement is the vast majority of the community aren't always happy with what council's doing, and they're the people that matter. Whether it's real or perceived, the community in a lot of instances are not happy with this council. And to increase by 2%, which is not a lot in dollar terms, actually has a negative impact on the community. And that's the thing that I care most about. We have the show committee here tonight. We've had the Jubilee Oval here before, or the Footy Association trying to get money for the Jubilee Oval and knocked back. They fight tooth and nail to get every dollar they can scrape together. And when council does that sort of things, people have objection to 2%, even though it may not be much in dollar terms. It is money, it is a pay rise. And that's how the community perceive it. And most people in the community, in my opinion, believe that councillors do not deserve a pay rise. So until the community believes that the council deserves a pay rise, I will not vote for a pay rise. The moment I hear positive statements from members of the community all the time about council, I would then support a pay rise. But while I continue to hear negative comment after negative comment on some of the decisions made by this council, I cannot in good conscience support any pay rise. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Speakers for?
Madam Mayor, if I could speak for.
Yes, councillor Cool.
Madam Mayor, I'm hearing positive things back from the community about what this council has been doing. Patton Street Park redevelopment, Elizabeth Park redevelopment, the O'Neill Park redevelopment, the new skate park. Huge amounts of people are telling me that's great, that's fantastic. So we're doing things. Anyone could argue you're not going to please everyone. And there's always going to be people who are unhappy, and so be it. But, you know, great, tell us. Tell us what you're unhappy with, and then hopefully we can improve things, but we'll keep on doing our job. Look, and this council on this side just gave $15,000 to the show to keep it going. I'm pretty sure the community would be happy about that. The other side didn't vote for it. This is...
What's your point of order, councillor?
Well, you didn't.
Councillor, continue.
Madam Mayor, this pay rise is for future councillors as well. I agree that a lot of councillors do a lot of hard work. There's a lot of impost on our working life. Some of us work full time. Some of us have a lot of time given up in their after hours to do a lot of work, a lot of stuff for this council, for this community. It's less than $1 a day. It's a pittance, really. And I think one of my main ones is that we've got to look at the future councillors coming on as well, so we don't get right behind. And we're not even in the top band of the fees paid to council and mayors in our group of councils. Thank you.
Thank you. Speakers against? Councillor Adams.
Well, I usually do. Look, I've got a couple of reasons why I do. Yes, we are not at the bottom of the scale, but we're certainly not, I'm sorry, we're not at the top of the scale, but we're certainly not at the bottom of the scale either. We usually, most people do go into council to do things and to serve our community. We all do to a certain extent, and I know people are not going to like the comment I'm going to make. We're all pussyfooting around here a little bit about councillors working hard and being at functions. Well, you know, doing their job as a councillor. Well, there's a lot of things as a councillor that can be done that not all councillors are able or are prepared to do for all different reasons. I realise that. For me, until I see all that, I will always vote no. So it's nothing new.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
What's your amendment, councillor?
Amendment is that the current councillor allowance remain at its current level, and this matter be deferred for early attention by the new council. It's the new council, as far as I'm concerned, that should make decisions on what's going to happen in terms of their remuneration. It's only 3 months away. Personally, I think we're well...
We'll just get the motion correct first, councillor, before you speak to it. We just need Lisa to catch up. Did you want item 2 removed, councillor? Did you need item 2 removed? Or that's just notes? Notes that it's recommended at 2%. Do you want it removed, councillor Orgate? Do you want item 2 removed out of the motion?
I said yes.
Oh, yes, sorry, we didn't hear. Yes, remove it. So that council also notes the current annual fees paid. So you want that part removed too?
No, that can stay there, but...
Okay. Okay, you're happy with the rest of it?
yeah, happy with that.
Okay, is a seconder? Councillor Kennedy, could you want to speak to the amendment, councillor Orgate?
Well, as I started to say, Madam Chair, I think the council is well remunerated now. It's $18,000 a year. I understand that for those who are currently work, it means an extra commitment. But standing as a candidate for the council shouldn't be about money, as far as I'm concerned. It should be about giving back to the civic community, giving the experience that the people hold in making decisions. And the fact that it incorporates a hell of a lot of breeding, and I'll accept that is a fact without a doubt when you get 500-page business papers. But really speaking, I think there's a couple of important points. I think we're here to make decisions on behalf of the council. It's not a job. It should be a commitment that we're prepared to make when we stand for election. It shouldn't be the money shouldn't be so attractive that it attracts the wrong people. Personally, I think we're well paid for at the moment. 18,000, a lot of people would like to get an extra $18,000 on top of their wage. Pensioners would love to get another $18,000 on top of their pension. While some people think it's not enough, I think it's adequate. And I think not only is it adequate, I think that it's wrong for this council to make the decision when in 3 months' time, there will be a new council, or hopefully a new council.
Some of us are hoping. Speakers against? Councillor Brown?
Actually, a question, Madam Mayor. Is it possible to defer this matter, or are we obliged to set a fee for the next 12 months? Just as a, whether it is or according to the legislation or whatever, is it possible to defer or reconsider in the new year, I suppose?
Mr. General Manager.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yeah, the only requirement is for the Remuneration Tribunal to determine the increase, as long as councillors tonight determine that what their fee is going to be, if it's the same or it does increase by 2%, but if it does remain the same, it is up to councillors to then be able to increase it again in the new budget.
Okay, thank you. No debate. I'll put Councillor Allgate's amendment. All those in favour? Councillor Kennedy, Councillor Allgate, Councillor Page. Councillor Cool. That now becomes the motion. Councillor Allgate, Councillor Page, Councillor Gallagher, Councillor Adams, Councillor Clark, Councillor Cool. All those against? Councillor Nolan, Councillor Brown and Mayor Turley. The motion is carried. Thank you. We'll move now to item 2, Broken Hill City Council report. Broken Hill City Council report number 71/21, dated Council Travel to attend the Waste Strategy Summit. Do I have a mover for that? Councillor Adams, you're moving that way. Seconder, Councillor Brown. Do you want to speak to the motion, Councillor Adams?
I just think this is an extremely important summit, and I think those that are on the committee relevant to this subject would benefit from us, and they benefit from it, the city will as well.
Thank you. Any speakers against?
Yes, I'll speak against.
Councillor Kennedy.
This has the potential to cost over $10,000, depending on how many people go. At the moment, we have 2 councillors and the chair, and the alternate chair. If anyone else goes, so just for those 2, it would be near $5,000 each. This, in my opinion, is a conference that isn't overly important to Broken Hill. One is about waste crises. The reason there's waste crises in major capital cities is because they're running out of land. We in Broken Hill, fortunately, don't have the same problems that the big cities have. And that is the reason they have to have all these summits and talk about this, because the reality is land in those areas costs a fortune. They're running out of land to dump waste. And one of the reasons we're talking about a toxic waste dump on the Wentworth Road, because these big cities produce so much waste, they're always trying to get it out of their cities. We don't have that problem. And after the vote for the Silver City show, spending 10,000 at least on conference travel and accommodation is just too much in my opinion.
Thank you, councillor. Any speakers for the motion? No speakers for. I'll put the motion. Oh, councillor Brown, are you
Yes.
speaking for the motion?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I
sorry,
will
yeah.
speak. I'll address some of the comments that that Councillor Kennedy made. Unfortunately, Broken Hill, even though we are in the outback, is still subject to increasingly rigorous requirements and restrictions on our landfill. We have to continually decrease the amount of waste going to landfill and satisfy EPA requirements as to what what we do with the waste that's there. We are developing better recycling facilities. I think there are many residents of the city who are very enthusiastic about recycling, and I think they can't wait for the changes such as curbside recycling, which we haven't quite been able to introduce as yet. It's going to be an increasingly important issue. It involves also the industry and the responsibility, by industry to manage their own packaging, which is a source of a great proportion of our landfill. I think even though I'd be the beneficiary, if you like, if this motion is accepted, I think with that very extensive list of speakers, I think there's a lot of very useful information. The Environmental Key Directions Working Group has been working on these issues of environmental sustainability for several years now, and I think this will give us a lot of really useful information.
Thank you, councillor Brown. Any speakers against?
Get this to work. I'd like to speak in support of what Councillor Brown's saying. We still have all the machinery at the dump to recycle. This council at the moment is putting everything, and I'm not criticising council, everything goes in the same virtually spot, and we should be returning to what we used to do. We had all the machinery to recycle all the green waste. We had the Mayor of Palmerston fly to Broken Hill to have a look at what a good recycling system we had. And after the conference, I'd like to think that Councillor Brown, along with everyone in this room, return to recycling the green waste, all the other products that can be recycled. So I'll support it on the basis when Councillor Brown comes back, we may return to being having a high standard of recycling.
Thank you, councillor. That was probably speaking. I should have called a point of order, but
yeah, I seen you had a smile on your face, but you let me talk. Unusual, Madam Mayor, that you let me talk, but you did on this occasion. You must want something.
I'm always reminded by Councillor Kennedy and Councillor Orgay that I've got to call you in. So, Councillor Orgay, you're speaking against?
Oh, no, I was going to ask a question.
Oh, sorry, what's the question, councillor?
Just on what Councillor Brown said, can the General Manager tell me? I thought Broken Hill City Council waste dump was a level, we're in a level 2 category. We don't have the volume, the cubic metre volume that puts us in that upper level where a lot of the regulations apply. For instance, if memory serves me right, we built a weighbridge. We were given the indication that it was probably a good idea, but we didn't have to because we were in that level 2 category. Is that right?
Mr. General Manager.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'll have to clarify the level we are, but we are an EPA licensed waste facility, and we do have to record all waste that is deposited at the waste facility. The only thing we are different from our metropolitan counterparts is that we don't actually pay the waste levy. But I will get some clarity of what level we are, but we are a licensed facility.
My understanding, my understanding was that you had to have I don't recall the actual volume, but there was a certain volume that dictated what level you would be, and we were well below that volume.
We'll
But
take that on notice.
I'd like that question answered in due course if possible.
Yeah, no, we'll take that on notice and report back like we do.
Follow up, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Kennedy.
Yes, I did read extensively the EPA, and it's not just the waste licence. There's many things that the smaller councils don't have to implement that the major councils have to do. You do have to record it. There's a number of ways of recording it. That is via weighbridge or via diary or via lots of other things. What was also in that report was about transfer stations, and transfer stations are not recommended. Yeah, are not recommended for smaller councils unless they have the full community behind them. So when the general manager does look into that, can the general manager come back with all that information? Because the different tier of waste disposal, even though we are a licensed waste facility, we are exempt by many of those things, and there are actually lots of recommendations for smaller councils that don't apply to larger councils.
Thank you, Councillor Kennedy. We'll take that question on board. If there's no further debate, Councillor Adams, do you want your right to reply?
Just a couple of things, Madam Mayor. Thanks for Councillor Page. You said it well. It is a very important, and I'll repeat it, a very important summit that I do think we will benefit from. And as the comparison to the Silver City Show was brought up, I would like to say to the ladies that are in the gallery tonight, you definitely are getting your 15,000. So I hope you're not confused about that. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Councillor Nolan, Councillor Brown, Councillor Clark, Councillor Cool, Councillor Page, Councillor Gallagher, Councillor Adams, Mayor Shirley. Against? Councillor Kennedy, Councillor Allgate. Declared the motion carried. Move to item 3, Broken Hill City Council report number 72/21.
Question of the chair, Madam Mayor. There was a comment made at the end of that debate about the show, and I'd like it clarified before we move on. If the Silver City Show does not put an application in, or the application doesn't meet the criteria, do they get that money?
I don't think it's a criteria, Mr. General Manager.
I'm just asking if they don't put an application in, do they get the money?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Well, I believe the resolution required an application to be submitted under the event sponsorship policy, but once that's submitted, to go through the process for the $15,000.
So it doesn't have to wait the 28 days. So thank you, Councillor.
But they only get it if they put it in, not like Councillor Adams said, where they get the money. The money wasn't voted. The money was to fill in an application.
Councillor, we're moving on.
Comment, Madam Mayor.
Yeah,
I'm quite happy to help them fill it out, Councillor Kennedy, as I'm sure you would be. It won't take long.
Thank you, councillors. No debate.
I just like a bit of honesty when things are said.
Councillor, we'll move on. Item 3, Broken Hill City Council report 72/21, establishment of companion animal acts working group. Councillor Cool, you're moving that way.
I'll move that way, Madam Mayor.
Seconder, Councillor Nolan. Councillor Cool, do you want to speak to the motion?
Yeah, it's pretty much, it says it in the report. This is a great step forward in establishing the companion animals management working group. I understand there has been expressions of interest from the community already to become a part of this group, and that's fantastic. This has been long overdue. Obviously, I'll be putting my hand up to be part of that committee, and I'm hoping I can find at least 2 other councillors. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor. And I've got Councillor Nolan seconding it. Before I move on, could other councillors indicate if they would like to go on this committee? Councillor Kennedy and Councillor Clark. Oh, sorry. Councillor Gallagher. Sorry, we'll put Councillor Gallagher on. So
Madam Mayor, just a point of order, no, not a point of order, but I'd welcome extra councillors, of course, and there's always going to be a councillor who can't attend, so it's great to have those extras who can be alternates as well, and fill in.
Well, we've got Councillor Cool, Councillor Kennedy, Councillor Gallagher, and can I say that councillors can go along as observers? We need to make sure we've got the governance in place. Councillor Cool, would you like to speak to, you've spoken to the motion. Speakers against? No speakers against? No speakers against. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Declared that carried unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Item 4, Broken Hill City Council Report number 73/21, Quarterly Budget Review, page 83. Do I have a mover?
I'll move that way.
Moved by Councillor Gallagher. Seconder, Councillor Nolan. Councillor Gallagher, would you like to speak to the motion?
It's good to see that the capital budget results and things are moving forward in the city. I commend this motion. It's a great asset, and let's just see if we can actually get what we've got on paper to fruition.
Thank you. Speakers against?
Can I ask a question, Madam Chair?
Yes, certainly, Councillor Gate.
I'd just like to refer to the capital funding, capital grants,
What
and
page?
contributions. I think I raised this at the last meeting or the meeting, page 92. I
That's it.
raised this once before, I think last meeting or the meeting before. There's, if you look at the chart there, the capital contributions, there's an expectation that we will receive 31 million, correct me if I'm wrong, 31,893,000. We're 9 months into the financial year, and so far we've got 1.8 million. I asked the question before how realistic the capital budget, the grant funding for capital was, and I think the general manager said that that's what they were hoping for. My question is, are we going to get 29.5 million in the next 3 months? And if we're not, a lot of the capital items that we're sort of blowing our bags about in an election year, that all these things we're going to do, all these capital works we're going to do, won't be done. It's as simple as that. We've had 9 months of the financial year and we've got 1.8 million. So we've got 25.5 million to get in the next 3 months. My question is, are we going to get it? And the second question following that is, if we're not getting it, it means we don't do almost all of our capital works. Is that correct or otherwise?
Mr. General Manager.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Through you to Councillor Holgate. The first one, answer your first question, the simple answer is no, we're not going to receive that full $31 million until 30th of June. But there was also no expectation that we would receive all of it, other than that we had to budget for it to account for the capital expenditure that we had put in the budget for the entire project. So breaking that down, I guess hopefully a simple example might be the O'Neill Park precinct. Whilst we budgeted for that project at $3 million, and we also put in capital grant expectations of around $2 million. We have been successful in receiving $2.1 million, but we won't actually start receiving that money in cash that you see in the budget until we start to hit those milestone payments. However, under the Local Government Financial Accounting Code, we are required to budget for the full project at the beginning of the year to cover it and what we're expecting in grants, so that the budgets can be carried over for the life of the project. The second part of your first question was, a lot of these projects, councillors were aware of their size when adopting the budget, specifically the Library and Cultural Precinct and the O'Neill Park Precinct, that they are big projects and would run over multiple financial years. So they weren't going to be completed by 30th of June. They'd have to be a part of a carryover, but they would hopefully commence beforehand, and O'Neill Park Precinct has commenced in that way. And your second question, I've forgotten actually, Councillor Holgate.
The main question is, will we get $25.5 million in the next 3 months?
As my first answer is no. The short answer is no. However, we're not going to be any worse off with that capital expenditure, because we're not actually expending the money until we get the grant money.
Well,
So we have, sorry, just to clarify, we have to document what the project is going to be, even though it takes us 3 years. And so that will cover 3 years, but we have to put it into this year that we're identifying this project. Is that a simpler way?
Thanks, Madam. That's correct. And that's why in the operation delivery program, those projects are clearly stated as subject to grant funding. So we wouldn't commence them until we get grant funding, but council made them a priority. So as soon as we got grant funding, we could continue. But just out of your reference in regards to how much capital projects we have completed, we have obviously 9 months in completed $7.6 million of asset renewals, and 3 months to go, we will hit above the $10 million mark.
Okay, that answers part of the question. The reason I asked this is when the $30 million was put in, I thought it was a fictitious figure right from the word go. You're basically saying it's not because you're still hoping for the money. I'd bet money you won't get it. I'll bet you any money you like that you won't get the next 25 million in this 3 months that are left in this financial year, and we're talking about this financial year. Historically, we've got between $3 and $7 million in grants total. Now we're talking about 30 million. Oh, actually, we've got more when you take the other grants. I think normally we've been up around about 10 million, 10 or 11 million total. But just in capital grants, we normally used to get around about between 3.5 and 7 million, around 6 and 7 million in recent years. But we've gone from that to 30 million. It just strikes me as being a false figure. It's one thing to have an expectation that you're going to, that the public look at these things, and some public do. They look at these things and say, 32 million you're going to get in government grants this year. And straight away, that rings a bell with me when we've normally only got 7. I know it doesn't, at the end of the day, it doesn't mean that we're out of pocket, but is that a comment or?
No.
So what I'm saying is I think it's wrong to put in figures that are not achievable.
I think it's the requirement, isn't it? Can I just get some clarity around that? Is it a requirement under the accounting processes by the government that we have to put in those projects?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. I mean, yes, but just to clarify Councillor Orgate's earlier comment, absolutely no way are we going to get the rest of that 25 million in the next 3 months. It will be a carryover. But the main thing is what we have to do under the local government accounting code is if council's budgeting for a project on the basis of receiving a certain percentage in grant funding, then we need to make it really clear. Say, for example, the library at 20 million, if we're going to be looking at 14 million from grant funding, then we need to put in there clear that it's a $20 million expenditure and we're going to only proceed with the project with $14 million worth of grant funding, so that it's clear that we get it, but it's also very easily transferable as we go across multiple years, that the community knows how much is costing for that project, but they also know how much expectation is coming from grant funding. And if we don't get the grant funding, the project doesn't proceed, but it is a requirement under our financial accounting code.
Thank you, Mr. General Manager and Councillor Orgate. Is there any further debate? If there's not, Councillor Gallagher, do you want to write a reply?
No, Madam Mayor, it's been well explained.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Declared it carried unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Broken Hill City Council report number 74/21, the investment report for April 2021. Can I have a mover? Councillor Nolan.
So moved, Madam Mayor.
Seconder. Seconder, Councillor Brown. Councillor Nolan, do you want to speak to the report?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. It's with great pleasure that I move this report because once again, we're seeing an upward trend. It's great to see an upward trend in Australia's economics, but it's even nicer to see that translated locally. And not only we are compliant with policy, but something of a great achievement, I believe, mentioned on page 118, where it reads Council's investment portfolio posts a return of 3.42% per annum for the month of April versus the bank bill index benchmark return of only 0.04%. And then looking at over the 12-month period, the portfolio's returned 1.88, exceeding the bank bill index benchmark of 0.07. So I think as a council, we deserve to be very pleased with that. The community deserves to be pleased with that as well. And I would personally like to thank Jane Nankivell in his role with our finances and now ably assisted by Simon Brown, Acting Chief Financial Officer. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Nolan. Speakers against?
Just a question, because look, it's good to say that, but how far are we behind what was forecast 18 months ago? Because we're still significantly behind what was budgeted we're going to get on a return. That is a question.
Councillor,
we've
Mr.
got
General Manager.
I'll just explain it a bit more.
No, that's okay.
General manager, no, because
No,
the
that's
general
okay. We
manager,
can ask.
it was to do with the losses that we said we had from COVID and how much we expected to get.
Mr. General Manager.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I might take that on notice to give you a factual figure, but certainly we did lose out. And I know it was a fair amount of money. Might have been around $1 million we lost in our investments through COVID. We're certainly about 2% this 12 months better than what we did expect in regards to our recovery, but certainly there's no denying that we were impacted by COVID and we haven't recovered our money back from that.
Thank you. No further debate. I'll put Councillor Nolan, do you want to write a reply?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think the discussion's been well covered and I look forward to that report from the General Manager. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, declared a unanimous vote. Thank you, everyone. Move to item 6, Broken Hill City Council report number 75/21, proposed acquisition of Federation Way. Do I have a mover for that? Moved by Councillor Adams, second by Councillor Brown. Councillor Adams, do you want to speak to this motion?
I think it's pretty clear that this is something that the steps are what we have to go through, and hopefully it will not be something that will take a very long time. But as I said, I don't think that we have any other choice but then to proceed as is written.
Thank you. Any speakers against? No speakers against. Councillor Clark, did you have a question?
Oops. Madam Mayor, I wonder if we could add something to this whereby we could ask for a report to come back to council before the conditions are signed off.
What would the report be about?
The report would be about the discussion that was being held around the proposed ILUA. I understand that as it stands, the recommendation says the Mayor and the General Manager sign off on it. I'm asking if it's possible, now it may not be possible, but I'm asking, is it possible that a report come back about that ILUA to council so that we understand what the conditions are within that ILUA before anything is signed off?
Are you happy if we circulate that, or because that's kind of going against the motion? So the motion is that we sign it off, and then you want to add that it comes back. So,
I would have liked to have seen it before it's signed off.
So you'll have an amendment?
I'm just asking, is that possible, first of all? Is
Mr.
that
General
possible that we
Manager.
can do that?
Mr. General Manager.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yeah, if I may, you could amend number 4, that the Mayor and General Manager be authorised to negotiate the terms and conditions of the proposed Indigenous Land Use Agreement and provide a report to Council for final authorisation.
And that I think is exactly what I was asking. I just
Okay.
wasn't sure if we were able to do that.
I'm just going to ask the mover if she's happy to accept that as included in your motion.
hang
Sorry,
on,
I've got to
hang on.
turn you off and then turn you on.
No,
Okay.
I just feel this is, we know that this is something that is going to be quite not a difficult process, but it's going to be a process that has to be handled very, very carefully. And I do believe that the way it's written and the Mayor and the General Manager be authorised, I think that is the way to go with the other party. And I think that we will get that report from within council anyway. But I think, as I said earlier, I honestly believe that exactly as it is written is how we have to proceed with this, in partnership with the other party.
Sorry, I just need to go before you second anything. Councillor Clark, are you going to move an amendment? So the amendment would be the motion, but including the words that the General Manager suggested.
Yes, as it, where are we? Yeah, yes, as we go down. Yes, as it is written there.
Okay.
Hang on.
That
No, wait on.
yeah.
It's been changed back, I think. I think the words that we wanted to insert have been removed. Or is it down here?
It's down there.
It's down here.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
We're just
No,
getting Lisa
no,
to move things around.
yes,
We're
sorry,
probably
I
all a
couldn't
bit
see it.
cold tonight too. It's a bit freezing here,
It is cold.
and
yeah.
I just while Lisa's doing
So
this,
is that's not the wording, is it? It's
no, she's coming
oh,
back.
okay.
So just,
Sorry, I was having a lot of trouble trying to find it.
No, we're just
That's-
cut and pasting. So we
Okay.
have a motion by Councillor Adams, Councillor Brown,
Yeah.
and now we have an amendment, and that the amendment is the motion, but including the words, once a report has been provided to council regarding the conditions for council to authorise the sign any related documents. Sign any related documents. Is that what you want, Councillor? I'll just get Councillor Clark, because she's moving this.
Yes. Once a report has been regarding officials. I think that's vaguely what it was. So that's before signing any related documents, so that we get to actually see what those conditions are before they're signed off.
Okay. Is there a seconder for the amendment? Councillor Kennedy, Councillor Brown. I'm just going to, you need to turn your microphones off when you finish. I've done it. Councillor Brown.
Just a question, Madam Mayor. I'm just thinking of the mechanics of this and just seeing the look on your face when the amendment was moved. I'm just wondering whether circulating without coming to a council meeting will be sufficient. I can see that, you know, both you and the General Manager seem to be concerned at a report coming back to council before you agree to it. Yeah, so my question is, can we be given that information so that if we have any huge objection to it, we can, you know, we can make that known, and then maybe that can go to council. We can reconsider then. But if it's going to put a real obstacle in the way of getting this done, maybe you know, a report to council can be done informally between a, you know, not necessarily at a meeting and sort of in public, so we know what's what.
Mr. General Manager.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I think it's entirely up to councillors. I don't think, as long as the Mayor and General Manager are authorised to negotiate the terms and conditions, so that we can negotiate with the Barkindji group, and then before it's finally signed off, it can come back to council.
Okay, I'm happy with that. Okay, councillor Clark, do you want to speak to your amendment? Do you want to speak to your amendment?
Just to say, Madam Mayor, that certainly I think that we are going to come to a lot of these discussions about Crown land in the future and native title over it. I think that we need to be aware of what conditions are being negotiated and to be a part of the process. Now, I'm not opposing the fact that the Mayor and General Manager be authorised to negotiate the terms and conditions. That's fine. That's as it should be. But I think that councillors should be told what those conditions are before they are signed. That's the only thing. I'm not trying to hold up the process. I'm not trying to say that we don't have a negotiation. I just want to know what the conditions are before anything is signed. Okay, I don't, and I don't care how it's done. I don't. If we can't have a full council meeting, well, fine. But I think we need to see it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Speakers against the amendment, councillor Adams.
Well, only in the sense of saying that this, all the mediation and discussions here are going to be with lawyers, aren't they, on both sides? Well, lawyers on their side. So it's really, you know, it's a very high-powered discussion going on, and I just feel that the way it's set out there, with the two of you being there to sign and whatever is the way to go. I don't really think that we need to go through this, because we don't really have a great deal of choice of action in this at all. You know, this is Federation Way. We don't have a lot of choice.
Thank you, councillor. Speakers for the amendment? No speakers for?
Madam Mayor,
Yes,
yeah, I'll speak for the amendment. This council needs to know what's being agreed, needs to know what the conditions are before they're signed, and that's simply what councillor Clark is moving, and I think all councillors would agree with that. We just need to know, and we need to know what we're agreeing to. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more speakers against? If not, I'll put the amendment. All those in favour? Councillor Nolan, Councillor Brown, Councillor Clark, Councillor Cool, Councillor Kennedy, Councillor Allgate, Councillor Page, Councillor Gallagher, Mayor Turley against, Councillor Adams. The amendment now becomes the motion. Councillor Adams, do you want to write a reply?
Sorry, no, it's fine.
Okay, I'll put the new motion. All those in favour? Declared it carried unanimous. Thank you, councillors. We'll move to item 7, Broken Hill City Council report, community assistance grants awarded for round 1. Do I have a mover?
I'll move that way.
Councillor Gallagher, seconder.
Excuse me, Madam Mayor.
Yes.
Just I'm sorry. We were recipients of the Railway Museum of a grant within this, so I didn't declare that.
Yes, sir.
It was, yeah, right. It was a mistake. But as this is just being received, I would stay in the room anyway.
When are you voting?
No.
Okay, so we've had that declared now.
Yeah.
And that you'll stay in the room, but you're not voting. Okay, thank you, councillors. Moved by Councillor Gallagher, seconded Councillor Clark. Councillor Gallagher, do you want to speak to the motion?
Yes, just briefly, Madam Mayor. It's good to see that some of the community assistance, the councillors has given some of the recipients some amount of money. It has to be reduced because the amount of recipients and amount of people that have come that have applied this time. We've done everyone that was wanted. That most of them got something. Again, it's good to see that the council is doing something for community assistance to great volunteers and everything else around the state, around the town. So it's I commend the motion.
Thank you, councillor. Any speakers against? No speakers against. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Are you voting, Councillor Adams? Councillor Adams has abstained. Otherwise, it was a unanimous vote. Item 8, Broken Hill Council Report number 77/21, minutes of the Reconciliation Action Plan Working Group meeting held 8th of April, page 140. Do I have a mover? Councillor Brown, seconder. Councillor Clark. Councillor Brown, do you want to speak to the motion?
Actually, I will very briefly, Madam Mayor. It was a very successful meeting, quite a lengthy meeting. And I think the Aboriginal community really seems to have embraced what council's endeavouring to do with the RAP plan. So I think it's all good.
Excellent. Any speakers against? No speakers against. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Declared it carried unanimous. Thank you, councillors. And just remind everybody, the reconciliation luncheon is on tomorrow. Item 9, Broken Hill City Council report.
I'll move that.
Report number 78/21, minutes of the local traffic committee. You want to move that, Councillor Kennedy? Okay, seconder, Councillor Brown. Councillor Kennedy, do you want to speak to the motion?
Yes, I would. I'd just like to thank Councillor Brown for making sure that that 5-minute parking at the Silver City Cinema did happen. Very well done.
Thank you, Councillor Kennedy. No speakers against. What happened at this conference? Everybody's quite polite tonight. I'm just a bit worried.
Said for at least one meeting.
Well, I do have to say it's been a very good meeting. So I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against, declared it carried unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Item 10, Broken Hill City Council report number 79/21, the action list report. Can I have a mover?
I'll move that way.
Councillor Gallagher, seconder. Councillor Cool. Councillor Gallagher, do you want to speak to the motion?
Just briefly, Madam Mayor, it's good to see a lot of green in the action list. There's only minor ones of the amber colour, but it's good to see a lot of green that we're finishing up our actions that we had predicted we're going to do.
Thank you. Any speakers against? No speakers against. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against, declared it carried unanimous. Move to item 12, committee reports. Item 1 of that is the
Move 1 and 2, Madam Mayor.
Moved by, so just read report number 80/21, the 355 annual and financial reports. Moved item 1 and item 2 by Councillor Adams, second by Councillor Clark. Is there any discussion? No discussion. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Declared it carried. Move to item 13, questions taken on notice from previous council meeting. Item 1 is questions on notice report number 4/21, page 246.
So moved, Madam Mayor.
Moved by Councillor Norman, seconder. Councillor Clark. Councillor Nolan, did you want to speak to the motion?
The answers speak for themselves. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Is any debate? Councillor Brown.
Not debate, Madam Mayor, but just a comment on the question that I undertook to find a response to. I have followed that up, but I mentioned the EPA before, but the EPA has to approve anything that goes out from their office. So even though I could give you a brief summary of what the response is going to say, we have to wait till they've approved it. But basically, there's nothing to worry about, Councillor Kennedy.
Good, thank you. This is a bit. I know there are these smiles. We're going to conference next. So Councillor Kennedy, Councillor Allgate, Councillor Page, you didn't go, did you? And Councillor Brown went to conference without us. So, and I'm glad because everybody's come back happy. So I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against, declared it carried unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Supplementary agenda, draft internal audit charter. Do I have a mover? Councillor Nolan, seconder, Councillor Gallagher. Councillor Nolan, do you want to speak to it?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and only briefly, and I'm sure that Councillor Gallagher would echo my thoughts and feelings. Although I wasn't able to attend this particular one because I was in transit to represent council in Gunnedah, by the mining and energy related councils. Nevertheless, we've been following the audit procedure for quite a while, and I must say our audit was very effective. And what this does is it formalises the audit procedure, if you like, by giving it a charter, and the charter actually focuses on risk management and compliance and advisory services. And when you think about it, that's really what it's all about, how we manage risks, both financial, reputational and physical bodily risk to the public and council employees, and how we comply with relevant legislation and the advisory services that help us do that better. Thank you.
Thank you. Any speakers against? No speakers against. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Another unanimous vote. Thank you, councillors. Move to item 2, Broken Hill City Council report number 83/21. Terms of reference for the project steering committee for the EP O'Neill Memorial Precinct redevelopment project. Do I have a mover for that?
So moved, Madam Mayor.
Moved by Councillor Nolan, second by Councillor Clark. Will speak to that, Councillor Nolan?
I think it's a good motion, Madam Mayor, and I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any speakers against? No?
Yeah, no, it's all right. I'd just like to be on that as well, and I'll move an amendment if is needed.
We can just include that, Councillor Kennedy.
Thank you.
I'm sure, Councillor Nolan, are you happy to include that?
Look, given Councillor Kennedy's good work with the soccer and overall interest in the O'Neill Memorial Precinct redevelopment, I think it's most appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sure other councillors might be interested later on as well. Just remember, if you're not on the committee, you can always come and observe. If there's no debate, I'll put the motion. Sorry, Councillor Brown.
Not really debate, but more an observation. I think this shows the benefit of having a long-term plan and sort of carrying it through systematically. I mean, this is an idea to have this develop this precinct as the major sporting and recreational site in Broken Hill has probably been about 20 years coming. But I think the way that's being done, it's been carefully planned. It's sort of on a whole of site basis is much better than doing it sort of piecemeal, here and there and a bit of money here and a bit of money there. So I think it's, I really am just speaking to commend the vision and commend the way it's being worked through.
Good collaboration with all the councillors. Thank you, councillor. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Declared that carried unanimous. Questions for next meeting arising from items on the agenda. We have captured them during the meeting. Are there any other questions relating to the agenda? No?
Madam Mayor, I don't know if this relates to the agenda, but we're seeing a lot of work being done around town, such as footpaths being concreted and such. And I've been asked by a member of the public, is there any way the member of the public can find out when their footpath is next on the schedule?
Okay, thank you for that. We'll find out. Thank you, councillors. We're now moving into confidential. I'll call on a motion to go into closed session.
Move that way.
Moved by Councillor Adams, second by Councillor Brown. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Declared it carried unanimous. We go into closed section. To thank everyone. I'll ask the General Manager to read out all the motions that were passed while we're in confidential.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Item 1, Broken Hill City Council Report number 67/21, Expressions of Interest, General Manager's Performance Agreement and Review Process. Recommendation 1, the Broken Hill City Council Report number 67/21 dated May 17, 2021 be received, and 2, that Blackadder and Associates be appointed for 1 year. Broken Hill City Council Report number 26821, T21-7 Airport Fire Hydrant Upgrade. Recommendation 1, that Broken Hill City Council Report number 68/21 dated May 14, 2021 be received. 2, that council award tender T21/7 for the supply and install of new diesel-powered fire hydrant pump sets to support the infrastructure services of the Broken Hill Regional Airport to Fireflow Proprietary Limited for the tendered amount of $270,136.36, excluding GST. 3, the council increased the capital budget from $242,000 to $320,000 to accommodate for the increase in estimated costs. Item 3, Broken Hill City Council Report number 69/21, tender T2112 Comstock Street intersection reconstruction, Piper and Hebbard. Recommendation 1, the Broken Hill City Council Report number 69/21 dated May 3, 2021 be received. 2, that council award tender T21/12 for the reconstruction of the intersection of Comstock Street / Piper Street and Comstock Street and Hebbard Street to Get In There Proprietary Limited for the tendered amount of $617,940.74, excluding GST. Supplementary agenda confidential item number 1, Broken Hill City Council Report number 85/21, Art Gallery refurbishment works. Recommendation 1, the Broken Hill City Council Report number 85/21 dated May 18, 2021 be received. 2, the council note the required refurbishment works as outlined in the report below. 3, that council note the closure of the Broken Hill Regional Art Gallery for the period of 1 September 2021 through to 28 February 2022 to complete the required refurbishment works. 4, the council note the relocation of the Broken Hill Regional Art Gallery retail arm and public programs workshop to 313 Argent Street for the closure period. 5, the council note the relocation of a sample of the permanent collection which will be exhibited in the exhibition hall at the Albert Kirsten Mining and Minerals Museum. Item 2, Broken Hill City Council Report number 84/21, T21/13 Broken Hill Regional Art Gallery Mechanical Services Upgrade. Recommendation 1, the Broken Hill City Council Report number 84/21 dated May 13, 2021 be received. 2, that council award tender T21/13 Broken Hill Regional Art Gallery Mechanical Services Upgrade to Air Comfort Services Proprietary Limited for the amount of $797,295.40, including GST. Item 3, Broken Hill City Council Report number 87/21, quotation 21/14, request for quotation project management of EP O'Neill Memorial Precinct redevelopment project. Recommendation 1, the Broken Hill City Council Report number 87/21 dated May 19, 2021 be received. 2, the council award Q21/14 project management of EP O'Neill Memorial Precinct redevelopment project to Public Works Advisory for the amount of $649,781, including GST. In item 4, write-off bad debt 564 to 638 Barrier Highway. Recommendation 1, that Broken Hill City Council Report number 86/21 dated May 21, 2021 be received. The council accepts $105,807.05, being all outstanding rates and charges as at 31 May 2021, as a lump sum payment to settle all outstanding debt owing to council, subject to final legal confirmation and permission from the court-appointed liquidator. 3, that if this amount is not paid in full by the 31st of May 2021, that council accept the amount that is outstanding on all rates and charges as at the payment date as a lump sum payment to settle all outstanding debt owing to council, subject to final legal confirmation and permission from the court-appointed liquidator. 4, that subject to Resolution 2, council approved the write-off of $52,612.23 in relation to the land at 564 to 638 Barrier Highway in accordance with the below report, attached documents and subject to final legal confirmation. 5, the council authorised the general manager to write off additional amounts to the value of $5,000 dependent on final settlement and cost breakdowns in accordance with the debt structure in the below report. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, everyone. And as I close the meeting, can I Just although this person isn't here, I just wanted to acknowledge that Emily McInerney from the BDT is leaving that position, and I know from behalf of all the councillors we wish her well in her new role, and certainly we will all miss her, as she was certainly a great reporter and journalist, and a great kept our community informed on what was happening in the community and particularly in local government. And Emily, if you're listening, we will all miss you. So thank you everyone, and I'll close the meeting.